welcome to Corporate Crash Out. I'm Katie.
And I'm Claire. Basically, we're just two Gen Zers trying to adjust to adult and corporate life.
Yeah, so Claire and I actually met at college about 3 years ago now. And she's really seen my whole journey at this point, from me blacking out at my first bar to practicing my interview skills with her. And since every frat bro at our university seems to have a podcast at this point, we figured, why not us too? So here we are.
Are, in fact, here. We both majored in business, and now I'm a full-time accountant, and Katie is a master's student in data analytics. Basically, we were like, why not share how our corporate journeys are going and any tips or advice or funny tidbits we have found along the way.
Mostly the dumpster fire that is my corporate journey, to be honest.
The corporate hell that I endure.
Okay, so to start us off strong, we're going to talk about LinkedIn. I know this is such a dreaded topic by so many people. I still remember freshman year, my friend was crashing out over this girl that, she went to school with actually in high school, and she already graduated from Harvard early while being a model and ended up being a Rhodes Scholar also.
Katie, was that friend me? Was it me? Busted.
Yeah, that was neither of us. So while we have done none of those things, we're still here to tell you guys how to create at least a mediocre LinkedIn, we think.
We will try.
Corporate crash out. Will you cash in or crash out? LinkedIn obviously is a great career growth platform. If you don't have a LinkedIn and you are above the age of 16 years old, you should, in my opinion.
No. So there's actually nothing more concerning when you think about someone from your past and you're like, what are they doing now? And you can't find them on LinkedIn. I immediately am going to assume that they're a degenerate. I'm sorry.
That's so true. Or even people at college, some of them don't have LinkedIn's, and I'm like, what? I need to know what you're doing.
Yes, it's not pushed in some industries. I guess if you're in healthcare, maybe, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though, and this is my pitch to everyone, regardless of their major or industry. Everyone should have a LinkedIn. And I know some people are like, oh, I'm about to be pre-med, I don't need a LinkedIn. I will say that when you apply for labs, because I've applied for labs before, and you have something that pops up about you as soon as somebody types your name into the search bar, and you can see all the previous labs I've taken, all the previous classes, all the LinkedIn learning assessments, that helps you so much to have something just next to your name.
Yeah. That's not an Instagram with slutty pictures from your sorority.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things they told us in Management 201 is that when someone searches up your name, you can have anything pop up. You just need to make sure it's something good first, not your track times from when you were in middle school that are super embarrassing. Nobody needs to know that my mile time was 9 minutes in high school from my cross country meets or anything that pop up.
Katie, that's so slow.
You're so mean.
No, that actually happened to me the other day. I was thinking about this guy from high school, and I was like, oh, I'll just type him in a search bar. I wonder where he's working now. And guess what came up first thing?
His wrestling.
Yeah, his football huddle footage. No, but this is exactly why you do need a LinkedIn. You're so right. Because if that's the first thing that pops up, so much more respect for you just off the bat.
Yeah, for real. And I'll look at my boyfriend's name sometimes, and it'll be his rugby pictures. And I'm like, okay, that's not the worst thing in the world for me particularly. But I'm what about everybody else that looks up your name at work and stuff? So yeah. Okay, so starting off, I guess, with the LinkedIn profile picture, I think that's the first part of having a good LinkedIn is at least have people know who you are. Because when I search up somebody's name and there's no picture, I'm like, okay, this is super shady. I'm not going to look at it anymore. I need a picture. So yeah, I would say that you should get a new picture like every year. There are some people that have,
Every year?
if you're like growing, you know what I mean? Like if you're like 22 now and you have your 18-year-old like graduation picture from high school up there, I don't think that's super great. Like you look like a child.
Okay.
Like nobody wants to hire like
I
a
agree with
child.
that. I agree with that, but I'm also not going to make like a big stink from like 24 to 25. Like,
No,
still
I,
me.
I just think if you've had some huge developmental changes, that you should get a new photo. You know?
Okay, Katie. You get a nose job. Are you putting a new LinkedIn photo?
I think you kind of have to, unless it's like super not noticeable, right? But like if you dye your hair, I would put a new photo up there if it's like really different. If you know you get like double eyelid surgery, no, just kidding. I don't think it's that important. But like, yeah, I think you should get a new picture just when you like look pretty different. That's my pitch. Like I've told you some guys like that are 23 now, and I see their like 18-year-old self on LinkedIn, and I'm like, who is this child? Like nobody wants to hire this person. They look like they're 5.
It is super confusing. I've also seen like a fair share of selfies on there that are like definitely just like downloaded off of like Snapchat or Instagram and like oh, this will work. No, this is not the same profile picture that you use on other social medias. Like, this is different, but people treat it like that.
Some people do, especially people that like haven't gotten a professional photo. You don't need it to be like so professional at first. Like I've literally gone outside with my friends and I take my camera like and I just like shoot a picture out a window or something of some corporate building. Like it doesn't have to be super intense, just not like a beach photo selfie. You know what I'm saying? Like no like tank tops, just at least just a normal shirt, if not a jacket on top.
Yeah, no, it's really just not that hard. Like you're telling me you have like the newest iPhone and you can't take a decent LinkedIn picture. No,
for real. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing though is like, what's your bio gonna say? I have seen some people who are like, and I know they're probably just trying to get like LinkedIn famous, if that's even a thing.
LinkedIn famous? What does that mean?
I don't know. You know those people.
What does that mean?
You know those people that like, they go and they like post, oh, I got married this weekend and this is what it taught me about corporate life. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh my gosh, I could really spiral on this. Keep your personal business off of LinkedIn. Ever heard of Facebook? Ever heard of Instagram?
For real, I hate it when like guys are like, my wife just had a kid and this is why my business is like taking off. What? Like, or like the person who was like, oh, I have 6 days and you guys only have 1. And he just splits his day up into like separate days and he's like, and this is why I'm an entrepreneur and like blah 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 and like I'm so successful. I do not care. Leave me alone. Stop blowing up my feed.
Bitch, you sell Cutco knives. You're not an entrepreneur. Like, shut up. I feel like there's so many like schemers on LinkedIn. Have you ever had a real job? Probably not.
That's like exactly who like the people who don't have a real job and just have so much time on their hand, they just start making these crazy LinkedIn posts that are like 99% chat GPT. And they're like, yeah, like, let me just post this out there and like, hope I get followers.
Yeah. You can't make it make sense to me. But the other thing that going back to your profile page, let's talk about the header photos because I've seen some weird ones.
Yeah. Like the banners at the top, you mean?
Yeah. Is that what it's called? A banner?
Yeah. A banner. I've also seen some weird ones, and I think the easiest thing to do when you're in college is just to have it be a picture of your college. And I know that's very stereotypical. Everyone kind of uses the same college photo, but at least like it makes sense. Like you go to, let's say, George Washington University, you pick George Washington University picture for the background, and it just like of the campus, it looks nice and put together. It's pretty, and that's that. It doesn't have to be anything super crazy. And then when you want to work up to, okay, I'm entering this specific field or I work at this specific job, you can have a more specific banner. But I think that's just a good starting point.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. My favorite thing too is college student, and it's like they go to school in Missouri and they have like the New York skyline skyscrapers as their background. I'm like, you. They think they work on Wall Street. You would think they work on Wall Street with their background. I'm like, make it personal to you. Don't just use the stock ones. They look stupid.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Don't go online looking for like LinkedIn banners. They're not that good. Just like we said, find one of your college, and sometimes your job will have like LinkedIn banners you can use too.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point. I wonder if my company does. I need to look into that.
Mine definitely does.
That seems like a tomorrow problem though.
Oh, and the other thing, when you were talking about the skyline, you can put your location in there like customly. So if, you're looking for job, I mean, I don't know. I put Atlanta. What do you put? I guess you put Nashville now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I get people from Nashville hitting me up all the time. They're like, hey, I see you work in blah, blah, blah field in Nashville. Do you want a job? And I'm like, ooh, do I? No.
But I knew like people who like used to live like in New Jersey, and then they put like New York City on there, because everybody just wants to put it closer to the nearest city, which like, okay, I get if, you actually are serious about like moving to that city like later, and you want people to like hit you up from that city because that's where you like eventually want to go work. But like if you are actually like in New Jersey, not looking for a different job, like, and just want to be in your town.
Wait.
What?
Rewind. People who are lying on here?
Yeah, about their location, because they want to say they're from New York City, but they're from somewhere in New Jersey. But it looks cooler to say New York City.
Okay,
you haven't heard
so
of that?
POV, I'm the hiring manager. This is mind-blowing. I have your resume. I know where you're from. I know where you went to school. Like, that's really gonna fucking confuse me when I type in, the first thing I do, okay, I get your resume, I type in your name. Your LinkedIn pops up, I click on it. It's a different city. I might just throw your resume out because it doesn't make sense,
Well, yeah, so that's why I'm saying, like, unless you're
Am I being extreme here?
No. I think that's like why, unless you're applying for jobs in New York City, I'm not going to put like a city that I'm an hour away from that I would never want to commute to, like genuinely.
I'm just honestly utterly shook that people are lying about their location on LinkedIn. That's like when you're on Hinge and the people in your city just aren't cutting it for you, so you change your location to a different city. It's giving me the same energy.
Yeah. Like we said, I think it's one thing for you to have it in a place where you want to live, but yeah, there are some people.
I agree. Like, okay, I'm moving to Texas. I'm looking for a job in Texas.
Yeah.
Set my location to Texas. But I'm living an hour outside of Nashville. I don't live in Nashville. I don't need to be claiming that.
Right. So guys, just make sure to update your locations where you actually want to find a job. Like, and if that is the next major city, then put that. But like,
so like putting a smaller town, if you truly are living in that smaller town than like New York, that's not a bad thing to put on there, because the more specific and unique you are on there, I feel like the more like personable connections it makes you open for, like on your profile.
Right. I definitely agree with that, because then you start looking for like, you can still apply to jobs in the next major city if it's like 30 minutes away. But I don't know. I think it does open you up to and make you preferential for those specific jobs in your hometown. So I think that is important. Okay, next. What do you think about people's taglines? Like they're not their bio, but underneath their name.
Oh. Man, these can be a lot. I see some pretty crazy ones out there. It's like inspiring the world to you,
yes.
Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you're not. You do marketing for chips. Like, you're not inspiring the world. I hate to break it.
And I think for this, especially if you're in college, like, just write student at blah, blah, blah university. I mean, you can write like whatever major you are too. You can say finance student, like at, Tufts or whatever. That's totally fine. But, be specific here. This is like your time, especially undergrads, like let people know like what you're majoring in, what you're going to school for. We don't have to say like, I don't know, passionate leader or something, because some people do that all the time. And then I'm like, okay, well, I have no idea what industry you're in, what education you have or anything.
I agree.
So.
I'm a big advocate for just putting your position, even if it's like student, like you said. I think that's so helpful. Just put your position, maybe your company. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Especially for the students, I think it's good too, because when you're applying to internships, usually they require that you're still in school throughout the internship. So if I am a recruiter and I'm looking to recruit students for this specific internship program and I see you are a finance student and this is when you're going to graduate and blah, 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 blah. Now I know that you'd be a really good candidate. So yeah, I think that's important. And then anything you have too much or don't have enough room to say, you can say in your bio, but I think this is a little bit of a tricky space because Claire, do you want to comment on the bios you've seen?
The about sections, there's people saying too much and people saying too little. I think this is probably the hardest area of your LinkedIn profile. And don't be like me. I used to have my phone number in there.
No.
Terrible
Claire,
idea.
your
I don't
phone
know
number.
in what world I thought that was going to get me a job. But, you know, you live and you learn, I guess. I think that you need to be specific to, like, what you've done. People are so vague here, and they're just like, I'm really inspired, and I like passionate, I work well with others. Like, all of these, like, fast phrases that they think they're gonna make them look good, but I'm like, I really couldn't care less. Maybe tell me about one specific thing you've done rather than traits you think you possess.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think some people just put in, oh, I'm like good with people and everything. And that's all great. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm getting bored looking at your bio. I don't even know what industry we are in yet. Like we said, I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know what job you currently have right now. As cool and as nice as that is, save some of that for, you know, your Instagram. I don't know, like your favorite quotes and stuff. Save that for your Instagram. I don't need to see your favorite quotes on LinkedIn and stuff like that. Or maybe your Pinterest. Yeah. Maybe not even Instagram. Honestly, I don't even have a bio, but I know some people do, or like the about you section. I think it's important for people who are like maybe pivoting. Like, let's say you worked in marketing and then now you're getting your MBA and you really want to switch to finance. Okay, that's great. Like, put that in there, because then people might be confused when they go down and see your experience and it has all these marketing things, but it says incoming finance person in your like title. Like, if you're pivoting, like that's a great place to put that information. Or like if you wanted to go to medical school and you did psych undergrad, well, that's what you're working towards. So anything that you're like working towards or trying to pivot to, I think that's a great use of that space.
Well, it's also just like the one place it's a catch-all. Anything that doesn't have a spot elsewhere that you want people to know or that makes your profile more relevant and make more sense, I think that's the place for it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Moving on to the experience section. I have actually a hot take about the experience session. And Katie, you could totally disagree with me on this, so I'm curious.
Okay.
But
what?
You don't need to copy and paste your resume bullet points into there. Like, I don't need to know what each position was. Just list the position. The only time I'm an advocate for, like, describing the position is if it's something that is very specific and unique and doesn't make sense. But if you put like sales manager at Frito-Lay, that's kind of all I need to know.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think when I was early college and trying to get all my internship stuff in order, I definitely put everything in there because I was like, oh, as soon as I can get, you know, more of these keywords into my profile to help. Honestly, for some of these things, less is more, especially if you have a bunch of internships in there. I think, you know, like Claire said, if it's really specific and nobody would understand it just looking at the title, but if it's like a finance internship, okay, I can kind of guess what that was. And also that's why you have your resume. Like, your resume doesn't like need to be your LinkedIn. And I think that's a big difference, and people kind of treat it as your resume, but it's just for outside people to kind of get a quick synopsis of what you've done in your career. You're not applying for a job necessarily just from your LinkedIn page. That's why you supplement it with your resume.
I've literally seen people copy and paste bullet points and they're like misformatted on there. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You didn't even need to do that much effort. Just put the job.
Yeah. And like, if you really want to like put something specific on there, oh, I want to highlight certain skills. Like, let's say like I worked a lot in Python and I'm going to continue to use that. There is a skills section. That is what that's for. If you know, worked a lot on Python and you've passed the LinkedIn skills assessment, which we can get into that a little bit later, put that in your skills section and you can like tag your experience, like which experience helped you build that skill. And you can see that in your experience section. But yeah, we don't need a ton of bullet points. And it just looks cleaner and visually more appealing, I think, without the bullets underneath the experience.
I couldn't agree more. Beautiful advice, Katie.
Okay, and I think this is a good section to like talk about like, okay, for your experience, when do we take off the camp counselor underneath the experience?
Gosh.
Like after how many like internships or like jobs like do we start taking some of that off?
I think, I'm honestly okay with it, but the minute you graduate college and have your first full-time job, you gotta dump that. I think until you've had your first full-time job for a year, you keep in most of your internships, but you slowly gotta start dropping the bottom ones. I don't want to look at 10 experiences. I want to look at 5 max.
Yeah, I actually have 6 right now, so I can't really talk that much.
All right, I'll let
Don't
you
look me up.
You know what? Don't worry. After this, I'm going to review your profile and let you know what to drop.
Okay. But yeah, I think that, if you're starting out and you want to get an internship, yeah, sure. Put that you were like a bartender at some place or put that you were a camp counselor. Like, again, like you were employed at that place of work. That is something that's critical to know, I think, for employers, especially if you don't have any other internship experience. But I agree, like as soon as you get out of undergrad, you should be a little bit more conservative with your space and just dropping some of those camp counselor and bartending things off of there. And like, look, like I don't say that to be mean or that's not like a good job. I think those jobs are really necessary in building relationship skills and a lot of other skills that are needed. But once you have something more corporate and you kind of like are wanting to continue on that path, it just makes sense to thematically make your LinkedIn more corporate focused.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. Okay, this brings me to the topic of, and someone was asking me this the other day, how soon after getting a new job or promotion do you need to make the switch on your LinkedIn?
I do it immediately, to be honest. I think like
the day that you start or the day that you accept?
Okay, so here's what I've seen people do, because for networking, sometimes, especially with internships, you know what internship you're going to get into maybe 9 months ahead of time. And so like, how do you convey that? Like, I'm going to X company and a lot of people I know that work at X and work at my school are still getting their offers. I want to put that I work at that company or I'm affiliated with them. So that way, if they look under that company and search the school, that I will stick out and I will be more prone to having those connections and those invites. But I think you guys should write, or at least I've written, incoming blah, blah, blah. So if I'm a finance intern, I'll write incoming finance intern. And so like the date, I'll start it when I get it, but I won't actually, like when I start the job, I just take out the incoming and then I start from that date, if that makes sense.
I agree. And I think that's like great advice for an internship. But when you have that first full-time job, it's a little trickier, especially if you're making a transition from one company to another or one role within a company to another, because it's not always public information, if that makes sense. Like when you accept an internship, anyone can know. So it's kind of like awkward. It's like, when do you get to make the switch? I don't know.
That's a really good point. I think especially with promotions, like let's say you're going to get promoted in like 4 weeks, but like it's kind of still a really quiet conversation. You don't want everybody in your office to know that like you're getting promoted if it's not public information in your company yet. So I would wait until you get clarification from either your manager that you can like say that online, or like you officially had your first start date in that specific role. I think that's like when you should say like to put it on LinkedIn for, because like some of these promotions are tentative until they actually like officially start. And so I think definitely play the safer side, I think, than not on that route.
Yeah, I agree. I think first day, trickling into the first week, trickling into I'll just procrastinate, turn off my viewing so no one can see that I update my job, then turn back on my viewing, because that's how I roll, which is completely wrong. But yeah, no, I think that's definitely a good point.
What about when to post that you got a new job? Because this is like kind of the same, but not really. Or do you just not believe in posts? Like, are you like, oh, it's embarrassing to post?
Okay, well, we know that I don't. One thing about me is I don't post anywhere. I'm just a creep. I'm only here to stalk. So I literally turn off my update. There's settings in LinkedIn where you can turn off so people can't see that you change things. And I always just turn those on and then do that. I actually have never made a LinkedIn post. And
What?
professionally, I'm trying to reflect on this professionally and hype myself up that I need to be, doing these normal things, such as posting that I started a new role, but we haven't made it that far yet. It's okay. We're growing. One of these days I'll let Katie post on my LinkedIn for me.
Okay, I think to talk about creating a post, I personally, if you get an internship 9 months in advance, I wouldn't create the post right then. I know some people do, but I think this is a good chance for you to remind people that this is where you're going before the summer starts and to connect with other interns. And so I don't do it 9 months in advance. I do it 2 months in advance before I start my internship. And that's also to tag people that helps you throughout the interviews or helped you in the process. I know some people will case you or they'll give you a case study if you interview for certain companies. And it is good to show people that you really did appreciate their help, and also to remind them that you are starting at the company soon. Your interview was successful. You are going to start your internship there if they want to connect with you again. So I think that shouldn't be any more further out than 1 or 2 months till you start your internship, which I know might be a little bit of a hot take.
I agree. I see people, and I did throughout college, and they're posting so excited to be a part of the intern class for the 2027. And I'm okay, cool. Do you even still want to do that job in 2 years?
Yeah.
It's just, we don't need to be publicizing that far out. I totally agree with that. 2 months, 1 month out, put that you accepted the role, and the day of your first day could be I started my role today. Was a great first day.
I also wouldn't put it out 9 months in advance too. It's one thing to say incoming business analyst intern or something on your experience page, but when you publish that, everybody on your LinkedIn is going to see that that is your new job. So if you get another interview with Google or something crazy the next week and you want to see how that process takes you, you can't really go back on that. You just told the whole world that you're going to start this internship next summer. Now you're kind of in a sticky position because you can't switch internships because you made it all public.
And this is a great point in bringing up turning off your visibility when you edit your profile. Because if you didn't turn off your visibility and you edited your profile to say incoming intern at Apple and then you accept a different job, that already went to people's feed that Katie updated her head. So I think people really need to be careful. And also it's really embarrassing, side note, to update your profile picture and have it go to everyone's feed that you updated your profile picture.
That's so true. Yeah, I think is it automatically off when you first do it, or do you have to turn it off? Do you know your visibility?
It's off probably when you make your account, but when you go back and change it, you have to make sure you turn it off.
Okay, so this is in settings and the visibility section, by the way. So yeah, just make sure you guys turn that off, because I have seen some people do that, or it's your anniversary and you spent 1 year working in this lab, and if you don't want people to know that it's your work anniversary, because it'll make an automatic post for you on other people's feeds, and it's
so embarrassing.
Or
I'm sorry, that's so embarrassing.
Especially with college too, because it'll be oh, you spent 2 years working at Vanderbilt, and then it's okay, so did everybody else in my class. I don't need a LinkedIn post about it.
That's also a confusing thing that people do, is they put their education in their experience section. There's a whole separate section to put your education.
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, I swear, people will put it in their experience section and it'll be 2020 to present.
No. Okay, Auburn. Yeah, that's...
It's an ick. It's that's not a job. You're going to school. Put it in the big section that says education.
Yeah. No, that's definitely really important.
Okay, guys, I think that's all for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Next time, we're going to talk how to properly stalk on LinkedIn. And trust me, you want to hear it. I'm really good at this one.
She is. Okay, so we also have a link tree that links to our Instagram and YouTube channel, and that's in our bio. So make sure to follow and subscribe on there as well. And we also have a listener inbox on the link tree. So if you guys have any crazy corporate stories, advice, or topics you want us to cover, please share them with us there. We'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, guys.
Share.